Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Tiffany Gabriel and I am a scientist with a background working as a QA/QC chemist for a big pharma manufacturing facility. And I'm really excited today to talk about something that's reshaping how labs operate, moving from traditional setups to a modern managed enterprise SaaS LIMS, okay? And before you switch off thinking, oh no, not another IT presentation, don't worry. This isn't about servers or cloud lingo, things like that. We're actually going to talk about what matters to you and your team in the laboratory, which is, I hope, getting faster results, staying compliant, not getting bogged down by technology that's supposed to help you. All right, today what we're going to cover off I'll just do a quick Labvantage, what the platform actually is, how LIMS, ELN and SDMS all work together in one integrated environment. Then we'll look at why labs are moving to SaaS, things like, agility, speed, less IT overhead. I'll also explain what our enterprise SaaS model, what makes it different, which is included in the support package. What is it? How do we handle monitoring backups and recovery for you? We'll touch on investment models, how SaaS changes the way you manage costs and resources. Then we'll look at the zero compromise features. Same power, same configurability, just with the benefits of SaaS. And we'll also talk about how SaaS accelerates innovation, faster upgrades, more automation, and a future-ready lab. And finally, I'm going to close it with what really proves that this works. A real customer story from a laboratory that moved to SaaS. They'd been struggling with an overseas outsourced IT model, lots of delays and downtime. And after moving to the enterprise SaaS, their system just works. And the scientists, back to doing science, no trouble with the infrastructure there. And please stay to the end because I made it fun. Instead of just giving you the facts and making it a case study where you're like, blah, blah, blah. I wrote it like a novel. We wrote a story about it. The team had so much fun doing this together as an exercise where we thought like the users and we thought like the problems that they were having, and I'm pretty proud of this. That's our roadmap for today. A quick grounded look at what modernizing your lab actually means without fluffing around. Because at the end of the day, SaaS isn't about changing how you work. It's about giving you the freedom to do more of what you do best. And I do feel like I should give some credit to our wonderful sales executive, Stephen Carey. He likes to be called Scary, but he's not. He wrote the stories at the end. So that was his work. Pretty proud of him. And thank you to our beautiful marketing manager, Samita. She nailed these slides. So what a team, dream team. Let's go. Right. Quick snapshot of what makes Labvantage unique in the market. At Labvantage's core, it's fully integrated, which means inside this box that we're providing, you're getting everything working together. Your LIMS, ELN, and SDMS, all part of one connected platform. You don't need to add on any programs to operate or automate the testing in your laboratory. There aren't any data silos, there isn't any plugins, any of that kind of stuff. And I got a good story about a plugin because I used the PowerPoint plugin today to use my Camtasia software to record this video. I got to probably 2/3 of the way in. The plugin failed and I lost all of my work. So we don't do that. That's not going to happen. And it actually did happen to me and I had a hissy fit and I cried a little bit. And now I'm back. So second time's a charm. It'll all be good. So that's a real world story about why maybe that happened to me, so I can tell you that story about how traumatized I am by this, to be fair. So all of this will be in a single digital foundation for your entire lab. Okay, Now, what really changes the game is what surrounds it. The cloud, IoT, and I'll explain that term in a minute, connectivity, and AI. The cloud gives you agility and scalability. You can move faster, deploy faster, and stay current without the internal IT overhead. All right, so IoT, or Internet of Things, if you aren't a person that keeps up with the lingo and the acronyms, I definitely know, because I have a 16-year-old boy and I have no idea what they talk about. Are they even speaking English at this point? Terms can be hard. Internet of Things, if you didn't know, it brings your instruments and data streams into real-time visibility. Users do not need to wait for batches, uploads, or manual syncs to view their results. So there's no downtime between when they're when they're doing their testing to what's going into LIMS. It's really good. It's a game changer. It's actually something that I'm really excited about, because the industry has needed this technology, and we got it, baby. Our team invented it, and it's amazing. And then there's the AI. Now, I know that this is a big buzzword, and ChatGPT is running everybody's life, but don't get it to break up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. I digress. But our AI sister company, MCube, has based on the out-of-the-box algorithms on real working intelligence from our customer laboratory needs. I'm going to say this wrong, but it's AI Lani. I don't know. It's Alini. I'm not sure if we actually, what Labvantage, how they pronounce it, but I'm just going to call it that. But it's our semantic AI engine, understands your lab data contextually, and the agenic, we'd probably say that, AI learns patterns over time to help predict outcomes and drive smarter decisions. So we can forgive my Australian accent for messing those up if my global American and European people hear this. I'm very sorry. Blame Australia. So this isn't just a LIMS. It's a living digital ecosystem, one that connects your lab, your data, and your decisions through the power of SaaS. Next, rocket ship. Great. Love it. Let's talk about why Labvantage and why we're leading this shift in how labs are managed. Think about your lab and how it runs today. You've got instruments talking to each other sometimes, people tracking samples in spreadsheets, maybe an electronic notebook software if you're lucky, or those wonderful Excel worksheets with the macros that really only one super nerdy dude could write, but they left the company years ago. So now you are using ChatGPT to be able to work out how to update it. They're not good. Validation, bad. I have trauma that it comes from working on projects that had those spreadsheets. You'll have to excuse me for that. Quality records, we have quality records all over the place. You might have a QMS if you're lucky or not. Sometimes the QMS systems are actually more horrible and the paperwork would be preferable. So what that means, what does that mean? It's just a juggling act. And yeah, sure, everything is working, but it's causing the laboratory staff to have really annoying, just disjointed days. And what Labvantage does is it brings it all together. The LIMS, the ELN, the SDMS is integrated in one digital platform. Also worth mentioning that we do have an LES, which is a lab execution system, which is like the ELN, except ELNs would be used for research purposes, so free form, you can do whatever you want, and LES are locked down into make sure that you're following the worksheet in a list. So very cool, only have to learn one system. It's just a mode of like tick, tick, is it able to be changed or not? Super simple, love it. No more hopping between systems, no more retyping data or reconciling reports. The user now has a really clear workflow to follow, and now, the old outdated, the user now has a really clear workflow to follow, and happy users, happy lab, right? So this is where the evolution really happens. Labs everywhere are shifting to cloud-based SaaS models because we all want the same thing: speed, scalability, and sanity. When you've got 10 studies running and the auditors are at the door, you don't want to have time to say, please log a ticket with IT, right? That makes you, I know, that's a triggering statement right there. With Enterprise SaaS, Labvantage takes care of infrastructure, the patches, the upgrades, the uptime, so your team can actually focus on science again. Whether you're running a stability study, tracking environmental samples, or logging QA results, it's all in one place, always current, always compliant. That means that Labvantage leading the evolution, we're just helping the labs smarter, faster, and with less friction, powered by a system that just quietly does its job. Labvantage has proven the integrated lab solutions, now with flexibility and the power of SaaS. All right, and this is just me. These are my title tracks that'll say we're now changing topics, and we're going to talk about clearing up one of the biggest misconceptions about SaaS LIMS. Most vendors say SaaS, and I'm going to put that in air quotes. What they really mean is shared, simplified, and a limited version of the system. You get dropped into a multi-tenant system with fixed workflows, a tiny set of configurable options, and the promise that, well, everyone uses the same version, so why is it's just going to do what it needs to do. And that's the sales pitch, which is great if your lab happens to work exactly like everyone else's. But we know that's not always the case. And we know, especially with complex labs, it's never the case. So we don't do that at Labvantage. Our Enterprise SaaS is the same system that you'd have if it was on-premise. So full LIMS, full ELN, full STMS, just hosted, managed, and accelerated. You start with our Labvantage Accelerator template, which gives you a strong, validated foundation so you can go live faster. But from there, it's your system. You can still configure workflows, data fields, reports, roles, and business rules exactly the same as if you were sitting on your own servers. That's the difference. Other SaaS models make you fit in their box. Labvantage Enterprise SaaS gives you the full box and lets you reshape it so that however you need to for your laboratory demands. You will get all advantage of the SaaS, faster development, automatic updates, zero infrastructure, without giving up the power and flexibility or control that your lab needs. The key takeaway from this is it's not a cut down version of LIMS. It is your full system, accelerated, supported, and involved into the cloud. All right, this is where things get exciting. It's the why it matters slide. Everything we've talked about so far builds to this moment: speed, adaptability, and staying ahead of the curve. Because in science, whoever can move ideas from the bench to reality fastest wins. We're talking about labs that don't just keep up with the change, but actively drive it, where data flows freely, experiments turn around, and the next breakthrough doesn't get stuck waiting on infrastructure. This is how you turn capability into competitive edge and future-proof your lab while you're at it. This is where the acceleration shows up in the data. This will be a measurable shift in how science gets done. Our SaaS model means that when new functionality drops, you've got it now. No upgrade on the weekends, no begging IT for downloading, downtime for Windows, just seamless evolution, like the system's learning right alongside the scientists. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about a beverage company. Their R&D team was hitting a wall so many labs do. Every time they wanted to tweak a formulation or trial a new flavor, the upgrade cycles slowed them down. Validation took weeks, and new analysis tools were stuck behind IT queues and deployment schedules. Then, here comes Labvantage Enterprise SaaS. The next enhancement release landed automatically overnight. No tickets, no rollout, no drama. Suddenly, their scientists had access to the new predictive modeling tool, which let them correlate ingredient, freshness with sensory outcomes in real time. What was the result? A process that used to take weeks was compressed into 9 days. Their new formulation went into pilot production before their competitors had even updated their systems. That's what we mean by rapid innovation cycles. When your platform stops being a bottleneck and starts becoming the reason everything is going faster. I guess you would call that a catalyst. Science, it moves faster. Teams collaborate smoother. Your analysts are a lot less annoyed and frazzled. And your lab doesn't keep up, it leads. This one's close to my heart because it's a perfect example of how intelligence and efficiency go hand in hand when your systems stop making you work harder than you need to. Back when I worked with a previous LIMS vendor, one of my clients was a coal-fueled power station. Steam and release operation, big infrastructure, heaps of sampling points that, they had the automatic testing, but the laboratory still has to do manual sampling points to check that the analyzers are working, online analyzers. Their maintenance program ran like most do. SOPs dictating that every 6 months or something, they had to replace key copper pipes as part of their preventative maintenance schedule. Didn't matter if those pipes were pristine or corroded. That was the rule because they had to do it. That's where they were at. They found if they left it any longer over time, bad things started to happen and they couldn't fix it. So that was history. And someone got smart. Using the data that was sitting in their LIMS system, they ran queries correlating water quality data, particularly pH trends, with the recorded pipe failures. What they discovered was flipped their entire maintenance model. Corrosion wasn't time-based, it was chemistry-based. Whenever the cooling water stayed acidic for too long, there was a risk of failure that spiked. And this was done using Pi Historian. So if you know how, that's really old, and it does a lot of complex stuff for manufacturing sites, but it's definitely not the newest technology. So imagine. By doing this, what happened is they went from a time-based preventative maintenance schedule to a condition-based one. And they didn't just save time, they saved serious money. Over $350,000, I think, in the first year alone. And this is a good 8 to 10 years ago. So, hello, that's a lot of money now. Think of it. That's Australian dollars too, but whatever, it's still a lot of money. Just by letting their data tell them when actions was actually needed. And the bonus, less downtime, fewer disruptions, and engineers who could focus on optimizing instead of replacing. So now imagine the same operation was running a Labvantage SaaS with AI and a machine learning integrated. The system could automatically flag those chemical drifts, predict when corrosion risk is rising, and schedule maintenance before anyone even opens a spreadsheet. That's continuous optimization in motion. That kind of intelligent efficiency that frees scientists and engineers to focus on progress, not process. That's what we're talking about. That's what enhanced efficiency looks like. Not more work, but smarter work, powered by the data that finally pulls its own weight. Now, competitive edge. This is where the magic of AI and machine learning really flexes. Not in theory, but in how it reshapes what's actually possibly inside the lab. When your system starts helping you think, not just track, you're shifting from managing experiments to designing outcomes. With Labvantage SaaS, the AI isn't just crunching data, it's helping you optimize how and when you test. Imagine you're in a pharmaceutical R&D lab where the product validation used to take a full year. Layer after layer of repetitive stability studies, manual comparisons, and endless rework. With predictive modeling built into your platform, AI can simulate experimental outcomes, analyze formulation stability across hundreds of variables, and highlight the most promising pathways before a single vial is ever touched. No one's doing anything. That means that you can cut validation time from 12 months down to 3 without cutting corners, faster, smarter, and Also, very importantly, fully compliant. And there's a ripple effect. Fewer physical tests mean fewer hours spent, fewer materials used, and by far less cost per discovery. You're suddenly freeing your scientists to innovate instead of babysitting data. You're also reducing the overall cost of your final product, which makes it more accessible. And that's not just good business, that's good science. So when we talk about competitive edge, this is what I mean. A lab that learns faster, adapts faster, I'm clapping my hands as I say this, and delivers results that others are still trying to model. It's not about working harder, it's about working ahead. Here's the truth that every seasoned LIMS person knows, but no one likes to admit it. And most of the industry, it runs on what I like to call technical debt. In my career, when I was selling, implementing, and rescuing old systems, I saw it consistently. Customers would skip a few upgrades because they were, air quotes again, too busy, and suddenly 5 years go by. Now the product's changed so much that upgrading isn't just an update, it's a full-blown re-implementation. Data migration, code merges, revalidation, 6-month projects, and invoices that can make everyone flinch. That is old world, and we don't want that, right? With Labvantage SaaS, you'll never fall behind. Your platform evolves continuously, quiet, seamlessly, without ever needing to freeze projects or, get that IT downtime scheduled. That was tough. I remember those days. The upgrades are handled by us, not me personally, obviously, but people that know what they're doing with this kind of side of things. And they're not dumped on your IT. All the messy stuff, comparing custom code, retesting workflows, managing deployment, happens in the background, guided by people who live and breathe this system. And then there's the real efficiency no one talks about. Other vendors can take 6 months to a year to deliver a single upgrade cycle. We do it as part of a service. Your team stays focused on science, not system admin. People sometimes call SaaS expensive, but if you've ever paid for an 18-month upgrade project, you probably know that's where the real cost lies. With Labvantage, your system stays current, your compliance stays tight, especially like cybersecurity, right? And your lab stays ready for whatever's next, whether that's AI integrations, new regulatory standards, or an entirely new way of doing science. That's the future-proof. That's what future-proof really means. Your lab never has to play catch up again. All right, and this kind of sums all of that up. So I'll just read it to you quickly. Labvantage SaaS is not a platform. It's an engine for continuous innovation fueling your competitive advantage. Dropping the mic. Moving to unmatched support. Let's talk about something that's just as critical with the technology itself, the people that support behind it. Because having the most advanced platform, and that's kind of why I made the joke about how I'm not doing that because I have no idea. I'm a scientist. I don't want to do that. Having the most advanced platform in the world means nothing if you don't have a team who actually understands your science and your systems. You need both. With Labvantage SaaS, you get the best of both worlds, the flexibility and the accessibility of the cloud, backed by the same depth of expertise and personalized care you'd get from an on-premise partnership. It's enterprise-grade support that actually feels human, fast, and knowledgeable, and designed to keep your lab running at its peak performance no matter what challenges come next. So, we had the smartest scientists in the world that moved into LIMS, and we had the smartest, AI, computer, all those infrastructure people that they're just expertise in doing this, in running Labvantage LIMS systems. They don't have to worry about anything else, which is great. Let's talk about now what's under the hood, the key support characteristics that make enterprise SaaS more than just hosting. First up, dedicated servers. This isn't some shared setup where your data is living next door to, 10 other strangers. You get your own space, performance, privacy, room to grow. That's how we keep everything running fast and stable, even when your workload is spiking, extra time when the laboratory is really busy or everybody's running reports. It's your own thing. No one else is messing with anything. Then there's configuration. Just because it's SaaS doesn't mean it's cookie cutter. You can tailor your workflows, build reports, design interface, and all the stuff that makes your system feel yours. Also, customization if you need to do things like third-party interfacing APIs, all that kind of stuff. All there. Secure data traffic, all encrypted all the time. Your information moves safely, whether it's between your lab instruments, your users, or the cloud. And speaking of instruments, we support the networking for those too. Instruments, printers, external systems, all connected, all managed. You're not chasing the drivers and wondering why, all this stuff just stopped working and you have to look after it. Once you've got it up and running and networking, boom, it's working. It's done. The result? Maximum uptime, no drama, no downtime, just smooth, uninterrupted work days. And then that's the magic. When everything behind the scenes is handled, you get to focus on science, the experiments, the data, the discovery, not the distractions. Our job is to make your systems invisible so you can just get on with what you're doing in your business. So here's where Labvantage really nails the balance, the best of both worlds. You get the same high touch support we've always been known for, plus the infrastructure and security management that comes with a fully hosted cloud native solution. Let's paint a picture. Your LIMS is quietly doing its thing, samples in, results out. While in the background, we've got 24/7 monitoring happening. Servers, networks, the system health, all watched in real time. If something is wrong, we'll see it before you do. And we back this all with guaranteed uptime. Not just promises, but SLAs with service credits if you don't meet them. That's accountability that you can actually measure. So we mess up, we pay, not you. Security is locked down. Managed firewalls, intrusion detection, encryption, regular audits, all handled by our team. So you don't have to worry about whether the latest patch got applied or if your data is exposed. On top of that, the managed backup and disaster recovery keep your data safe, because in science, the only thing that's worse than a failed experiment is a lost data set. And here's the real story. This model gives you your time back. Your IT team isn't buried in maintenance, chasing server errors. Your scientists aren't logging tickets at 5 p.m. on a Friday, because everybody's freed up to focus on what they actually need to do. That's why it's called the best of both worlds. The strength, the reliability of the enterprise grade system is the ease of freedom and fully managed SaaS service. You get the control you want and the support you didn't even know you needed. Now, this one's important because this is what Labvantage truly stands apart. So you've probably seen vendors who'll give you great software support, help with tickets, upgrades, patches, all that stuff. And you've probably seen hosting providers who'll promise you infrastructure, security, uptime, firewalls, monitoring, But here's the kicker. Look around and see how many are giving you both together as one fully managed service. I know the answer, but I'll let you do that little bit yourself. Modern LIMS, constantly upgraded products with actual backed, things like AI that is actually AI. It's not just a rebadged dashboard kind of a thing. I'll leave that one with you. That's what we're showing here in this Venn diagram. On one side, you've got the software support, and the other side, you've got the infrastructure and security. And that's in the middle, that's us. Where the two worlds overlap and collide in that little circle. It's superior comprehensive support because it doesn't stop at the software or the server. It's both. One team, one contract, and one partner. None of that, that's not my issue. That's, you'll have to contact that person. We don't do that. You're just getting the support with complete coverage And that's why Labvantage SaaS is a genuine differentiator in the market. Topic change, trust and accreditation. Very important in the LIMS industry. Not everybody has all of these certificates. I was surprised when I found that out. But when it comes to selecting a LIMS partner, truth isn't optional, it's essential. Labvantage holds multiple ISO accreditations that demonstrate our commitment to quality, security, compliance, giving your labs confidence that migration, integrations, and ongoing operations are in the hands of a trusted, reliable partner. Confidence in the cloud, minimizing risk with a trusted partner, right? Labvantage isn't just a SaaS platform. It's a carefully managed low-risk engine for your lab success. Why? Because we play by the strictest rules and actually have the paperwork to prove it. So we've got the ISO 9001, and I mean, you can look at, I'm sure you're probably reading it as it is now, what is it ensuring? But 9001 is quality management. 27001, security, gold standard, right? 17025 is lab competency and, testing, all that kind of stuff. Now, we ourselves don't have that ISO 17025 because we're not doing anything scientific, but we help you to achieve that with your system. So that's just a clear, that slide is, I believe, that slide is okay. I just wanted to make sure because it does look like that we're claiming that it's ISO 17025 and we have it. We don't need it, but we help you get it, is that message. All right. And then obviously, FDA standards, we help you with all that, and data integrity practices. And we have a QMS system ourselves. LIMS itself has some quality inside the product. We have CAPA management software and things like that you can use for your laboratory to capture investigations, audits, all that kind of stuff as well, which is cool. Okay, so why do we want to pivot to SaaS? Why is everybody doing it? Why is it a trend, or is it a lab survival strategy? For years, most labs ran these big on-premise systems, physical servers. You'd buy your license up front, big CapEx hit. Then you'd cross your fingers that IT didn't vanish before you needed to do something about it. You fast forward to now, things have changed. Labs are under pressure to do more projects, handle more data, stay compliant, but with the same amount of people. And that's where SaaS comes in. With Enterprise SaaS, you can move from CapEx to OpEx. So instead of buying the software and hoping that, you'll retain everybody to run it and it lasts that long with the technology, you're on a predictable subscription model. It's easier to budget, easier to scale, and way easier to sleep at night, if you think about it. Not that you should be thinking about your LIMS at night. If so, then you're stressed. You probably need a new job. I'm not stressed, you see. I don't need a new job. I'm happy. Anyway, what we're getting is agility and speed. New environments spinning up in a week, not a month. Scalability. Do you need another site? We just add it. Need it, don't need it now? Pause it, scale it down. Predictability. No surprise upgrade costs or version panic before audits. Reduced IT burden. Your scientists don't need to moonlight as system admins anymore. And you're always up to date with security upgrades, new features, all handled by us. Now, the little bit about the scalability, scaling up and down, obviously there are rules, and I'm not telling you the rules specifically in here, but we do have rules and we do make it as easy as we can in order for our customers to be serviced in the way that they are. So the old server model is kind of like a piece of lab equipment you've kept because it still works if you just hit it right. When I worked in the lab, we had a TLC spotter that we bought, and they spent heaps of money and they could never validate it, and it was just sitting there and no one would use it. But they didn't get rid of it because they'd bought it. We weren't keeping it. We're not doing that with Labvantage SaaS. Okay. All right. How do we meet customer expectations? This is just really a summary of what the lab actually expects now. Everyone wants agility and speed. We're all running more studies, tighter timelines, and we can't wait 6 months for an upgrade. We need cost efficiency, predictability, no surprise invoices. When they finish, you scale down. And of course, a reduced IT burden, because no one in the lab applied for a job thinking they'd be managing servers. Also, reflecting on my own journey where I joined a lab as a pharmaceutical chemist, and never did I ever think that I would end up in software. Because I have a really good history of repelling technology, but technology seems to love me. So that's great. Finally, always being up to date isn't just a nice to have. It's a peace of mind for audits and data integrity. This just really sums up that Enterprise SaaS actually delivers. We're getting close to the story if you're hanging in with me. Now that we've seen what the system's built on, let's talk about how it runs. This is how the magic really happens. The proactive management behind the scenes, keep your lab online, uninterrupted, smoother, than your wildest dreams could even think of. All right. Perpetual versus SaaS. This is where we're going. Let's talk about money, because we can't pretend this stuff isn't a conversation. This slide shows the two models, perpetual license on the left, subscription or SaaS on the right. And just looking, perpetual's got the big red cross for a reason. When the old perpetual model, you're buying software up front. It is a big capital expenditure hit. And then the fun really begins. You've got to buy and maintain servers, storage, network gear, annual maintenance costs, support renewals, validation, customization, of course, your IT team, keeping it all running. And if that's not bad enough, it's just heavy, expensive, slow to move. It's like buying a boat. I know, because I bought one. That was bad. And it's yours is yours. And now you've got to polish it, store it, and fix it every time it rains. And just like a boat, you're most happy on the first day that you buy the boat and the day you sell the boat. We don't want that for LIMS. On the right, we've got the subscription SaaS. And you've got a completely different setup. It's operational expenditure, not capital, meaning lower upfront investment, predictive ongoing costs, and a lot less stress. Your subscription model, software access, hosting, security, maintenance, and all the updates in one predictable cost. You don't have to worry about whether your hardware can handle the next upgrade or whether your IT budget's already been eaten by the chemistry fridge repair fund. I only make that joke because I broke a fridge once. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, old employers, I'm sorry. But this is important. It's not one size fits all. It's total cost of ownership, or TCO if you would like to use the acronyms. Over 3 to 5 years depends on your lab's size, structure, and purchasing power. A small research lab might lean one way, a large government or pharma lab might lean to the other. And the point is, SaaS gives you choice and flexibility. It shifts your money and your mental energy away from maintaining infrastructure and back into the laboratory. So Perpetual is paying to own the system, SaaS is paying to own your time, and the time in the lab is always, I believe, the most valuable asset, even though, ironically, I ran away from the lab. Okay, even closer to the end. Let's put it all together. The future of the laboratory informatics isn't coming. It's already here. Every industry, pharma, food, clinical, is moving towards SaaS because it delivers what modern labs need: agility, predictability, and freedom from IT noise. And with Labvantage Enterprise SaaS, you don't have to compromise. You get the same full functionality, the same codeless configurability, and the same powerful features that made Labvantage the global leader in LIMS. Now with the added magic of faster innovation and zero maintenance burden. It's no compromise, all innovation. Add that to our superior comprehensive support, not just the software support, but the full infrastructure and the layer beneath it. You've got a system that doesn't keep up. It's leading. And when it comes to trust, you've got us covered with the quality management system. We talked about that before, low risk, high confidence, all that jazz. This is going to sound a bit salesy, but Labvantage is the partner that makes the transition seamless, secure, supported, and future ready. That's it, really. Like, no compromise, just science. Now the fun begins. Now I get to tell my stories. And it's just, we're going to talk about the case study story. This is Stephen's story, and I'm going to retell it, hopefully, with the respect that it deserves. Okay. The fluorescent lights of the lab at Aptura Pharma hummed with a low-level anxiety that had become the soundtrack to our operations. As the lab manager, I've spent the last few years watching our LIMS, a legacy on-premise system, struggle under the increasing weight of our business. We've had a huge surge in throughput, a massive influx of new analytical instruments, and an ever-present increase in scrutiny of our regulatory audits. This is sounding mysterious. I like it. The biggest challenge, however, wasn't the LIMS itself, but it was the IT model that surrounded it. 2 years ago, corporate IT made the decision to outsource the support to a large non-specialist IT company located on another continent. Their process was rigid and detached. Submit a JIRA ticket and wait. The team, while technically proficient in general IT, generic, had a poor grasp of the specific needs of a highly regulated pharmaceutical laboratory. They didn't understand the criticality of data integrity, the nuances of GXP validation, and the interconnectedness of our instruments with the LIMS. A significant issue, a patch, a bug, an upgrade, required a frustrating multi-day communication loop between our IT partner and the original, now disengaged LIMS vendor. It was a Friday afternoon, just hours before a long public holiday weekend. It was moments away from issuing a critical certificate of analysis for a high priority drug batch at an essential step for its release to manufacturing. My cursor was hovering above the approve and release button. Suddenly, the system froze. A generic error flashed. Then the screen went blank. The LIMS had crashed. A wave of frustration washed over me, hot and immediate. That feeling of helplessness was overwhelming. All of our hard work, the meticulous sample preparation, the careful analysis was now inaccessible, held hostage by a failing system. The clock was ticking, and with every passing minute, a valuable client was losing precious time and money. See, I just needed that sigh. The blame game started. Instantly in my head, the inadequate IT support, a remote team with zero context of our lab's function, the archaic LIMS, a system built for a different era, the lack of foresight in our business's strategic IT decisions. I knew what lay ahead. Logging a high priority ticket that wouldn't get lost in a queue, a back and forth email chain with an offshore team that would require me to translate every technical detail, and ultimately a painful delay in getting the client their data. The frustration was palpable, a bitter pill to swallow, and I was prepared to spend a long weekend tethered to my phone, waiting for an update that might never come. Okay, what do we think? I've never done anything like that. That was pretty cool, hey? Tiffany might just be a voice actor. Okay, now we've got to summon up the happy day energy. Shake that off me. Woo, 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 no frustration in me. Now, let's contrast that with the reality we live in today. After a comprehensive vendor evaluation, Aptura Pharma migrated to Labvantage Enterprise SaaS. The transformation has been nothing but short of triumphant. The anxiety that had used to determine our Fridays is completely gone. The new operatives with a verified 99.9% uptime providing a level of providing a level of reliability that was simply unimaginable before. The entire infrastructure is managed by a single vendor, Labvantage. Oh, felt like I needed to do that. The simple responsibility of the software, hardware, security patches, and upgrades all falls on them. They no longer need to coordinate with multiple disconnected parties. It's a unified solution, providing a seamless and highly efficient user experience. If there were to be an issue, the process is streamlined and effective. We have access to 24/7 expert support. These aren't generic IT professionals. They are Labvantage specialists who understand their product inside and out. They are intimately familiar with the unique requirements of a regulated scientific environment. This means any support request, no matter how complex, is addressed by someone with the deep domain knowledge to understand our issue and provide an immediate, knowledgeable solution. The feeling now is one of confidence and empowerment. My team can focus on the core mission, generating high-quality scientific data. We no longer have to worry about system stability, validation, headaches, or communication breakdowns with a remote IT team. Data access is secure, reliable, audits are more straightforward due to the robust and traceable system architecture, and our turnaround times are even faster than ever. This is the tangible value of a modern specialized SaaS LIMS. It's the difference between constant firefighting and proactive strategic management. It's not just about a better piece of software. It's about a complete support ecosystem that allows a business to focus on what truly matters, delivering value to its customers without interruption. Whew, what do you think? Tell you what, we've come to the end. The conclusion, why Enterprise SaaS is your first choice. So, thank you for joining me on something. I've never done that before. It was I had fun. Like, I'm not going to lie. Maybe this is where my truth strength lies. Maybe it is. But what I know with my 20 odd years in LIMS is that systems are going up ways and down ways. And I got a seat on that rocket ship because I just did not want to see. I didn't want to see something that I've done for so long fall away into the background because of technologies like AI. So I'm so proud to be part of Labvantage and to bring these things to you, to the market. We're going up, not down. So I'm excited. Thank you from our team if you made it right to the end. And please email us questions. I think if there is a form at the end of this, please fill it in. Tell us what you like, what you didn't like, what you would change. I'm always open for feedback. Even when you're mean to me, I get better. So thank you for your time. And I hope that this topic excited you as much as it did me. I personally wasn't enthusiastic about writing this content at first because this was Stephen's idea. But when I got into it, I was like, wow, okay, this is just amazing what's happening, doing my research and, reading up on all of our new products and things. I'm so proud to be learning and to be growing and not doing the same thing that I was actually doing for 20 years. It's so much more now. So thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a very, very, very lovely day.